everyone, welcome into another episode of Matt Sports Talk, and in this video we are going to be recapping all the games from yesterday, and there were a lot of, I apologize for my camera falling. I'm trying to adjust it to make sure that we have a good amount of headroom, and I apologize for having to adjust it. But we are going to be recapping all the games from yesterday on the men's side, and there were a lot of exciting matchups, that is for sure. And now, before we dive in and talk about that, I do want to mention that tomorrow the updated RPI numbers will be out, so I will be recording a video then going over all of that with you, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. And then the next ARC rankings, as well as the quad records, will be coming out February 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd, respectively. So again, make sure that you stay tuned for that, as I'll be recording videos at that time going over all of that. And finally, if you are not currently subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button down below. I truly appreciate any feedback that you may provide me, and my goal is to hit 500 subscribers by the end of this year. And so again, make sure that you subscribe so you're first notified whenever I upload new episodes. And for those of you that are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for doing that, and I really appreciate that. And so we are going to dive in, recapping all the games from yesterday, and there were a lot of exciting matchups happening yesterday, and the first one being, and we're just doing the men's side of things in this video. On the men's side, we had a very exciting game yesterday in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where our first matchup takes us to Fort Wayne, where St. Francis faced off against Mount Vernon Nazarene. St. Francis prevailing here in an overtime thriller, 107-103. And these two teams split on the season. Mount Vernon Nazarene beat St. Francis at home. St. Francis returning the favor this time. And now for Mount Vernon, they're without one of their best players, Isaiah Brown. So obviously that's made a huge difference for them with head coach Jared Ronay. And then now in this game, St. Francis actually had a chance to win in regulation. They went up 90-88 with 6 seconds left, and Mount Vernon Nazarene went the length of the floor, hit the game-tying layup to send the game to overtime, and then with a few seconds left in overtime, Mount Vernon was down by 2, had a chance to tie it or win it, and had a costly turnover, and St. Francis went down and hit the game deciding 2 free throws by Eugene Young Jr., and that obviously made all the difference there. And looking at the stats for Mount Vernon, they had some really good production led by Trent Koning, 36 points for him, 9 of 16 shooting, 6 of 12 from downtown, 9 of 10 at the line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 7 points, and then you add 10 points for Devin Dreyer, 4 of 7 shooting to a 2 from downtown with 4 rebounds, 16 points for Peyton Heiss, 5 of 12 shooting with 2 of 7 from beyond the arc, 4 of 4 at the charity stripe with 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and for Reed Plattfoot, 22 points for him, 8 of 9 shooting. It's really good to see that. 6 of 7 at the charity stripe. He had 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And then you had Abib only with 7 points, but he was 2 of 3 from downtown, so really good to see that. He also had 4 rebounds and 3 assists, though. And then off the bench, Bryce Snell, in 4 minutes of action, had a rebound, an assist, and a steal. And then you also had Grant Burkholder with an assist and 7 minutes of action. Kieran Granville, 15 points off the bench, 6 of 6 shooting, 3 of 3 from the charity stripe, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks, though. MVNU shot really well from the field at 56, really well from 3 at 50, and really good at the free throw line, too, converting 23 out of 26 for 88.5%. Now, the one downside for Mount Vernon was they turned the ball over 21 times, and St. Francis turned that into 29 points, so that made all the difference there. St. Francis only had 8 turnovers, so again, that obviously tells you all you need to know. Now, for St. Francis, they didn't shoot the ball bad either. 53 from the field. They were worse from 3, albeit by not a lot at 42, and decent at the free throw line, 14 out of 19 for 73%. And leading the way for them was Mar Avance with 30 points, 11 of 17 shooting, 4 of 4 from downtown, 4 of 5 at the line with 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. He was ejected late in the second half as he picked up 2 technical fouls. And of course, when you pick up 2 technical fouls, that's an automatic ejection. But still, despite that, he had a really good game. He also had 26 points from Malachi King, 11 of 16 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks, though. 9 points for Eugene Young Jr. 4 of those 9 were at the free throw line, though. He had 1 rebound. 8 points for Braden Messenger with 2 rebounds plus a steal. And Joe Reedy, 6 points with 8 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Upland, Indiana, where Number 1, Grace, undefeated, face off against number 23, Taylor, and Grace prevailing here, handing Taylor their first home loss of the year and ending Taylor's 12-game winning streak. Grace prevailing here 83-70, and the first time these two teams met in Winona Lake, Grace prevailed by 17, so it was a little bit closer this time, but still a good win for Grace nonetheless. They sweep the Trojans on the year, hold a 2-game lead now for the number 1 seed in the Crossroads League tournament and home court advantage throughout the tournament. Grace, though, now officially holding that head-to-head tiebreaker over the Trojans. And Grace, they had 19 points for Gage Sefton with 11 rebounds, so a double-double for him. 7 of 13 shooting, 4-4 at the line with 2 assists, 3 steals. 7 points for Grady Carpenter off 2 of 3 shooting, which was all from beyond the arc. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 9 points for Tyler Rouse, 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 2 from downtown with 2 assists, 3 blocks, 1 rebound. 8 points for Hunter Walston off 4 of 7 shooting with 4 rebounds plus an assist and a steal, and 14 points for Ian Rouse, 6 of 10 shooting, 9 rebounds, so almost a double-double for him, 6 assists and 1 block. Off the bench, Michael Wellman, 15 points, 5 of 9 shooting, 6 of that was from downtown, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. 6 points for Cannon Hauser, 3 of 6 shooting with 3 rebounds, plus 2 assists and 1 steal, and 5 points for Gavin Benton, 2 of 4 shooting with 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. And Luke Bricker, in 5 minutes of action, had 2 assists. The Lancers, 54% from the field, 47 from 3, so really, really good numbers there. 10 of 14 at the charity stripe for 71%, so not too terribly bad. 13 turnovers as well for Taylor. Taylor, though, was led by Pete Combs, 16 points, 2 of 4 from downtown, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals, 1 block, so really, really good numbers there. 7 points for Nate Paulberg off 2 of 5 shooting, 2 of 4, that was from downtown with a rebound and a block. And then you had 10 points for Carson Gold and 11 assists, so a double-double for him. 4 rebounds plus 3 steals, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. 10 points as well for Anthony McGee off 4 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown with 3 rebounds. And 11 points for Isaiah Day off 5 of 11 shooting with an assist and a rebound. And off the bench, Nathan Baker with 10 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 1 of 3 from downtown, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Really, really good balanced numbers there. You also had Levin Smith, spelled Levin, 4 points with 1 rebound, an assist, and a steal. The Trojans, 45 from the field, 34 from 3, so they really, really struggled there, and really struggled at the free throw line, converting just 2 out of 9 for 22%. And that was your matchup there. The next matchup will take us to Huntington, Indiana, where the Foresters hosted the Cougars out of Michigan, and the Foresters were hoping to avenge a loss to the Cougars up in Michigan the first go-around. Huntington, though, did just that here. 85-78 the final score, and Spring Arbor, though, actually, believe it or not, came back late in the second half as they were down by 15, was able to come back from that, and the Foresters, though, they were only up I believe by 2 points with under a minute to go, and then Huntington hit a 3, and that shifted the momentum, and then Huntington iced the game after that with hitting all the free throws down the stretch. And looking up stats for Spring Arbor, they had some really good scoring, led by Brandon Trilly, 18 points, 7 of 11 shooting, 2 of 5 from downtown, 2 of 2 at the line, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 17 points for Dante Favor, 5 of 11 shooting, 3 of 4 from downtown, 4 of 4 at the line. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, though, so really, really good numbers there. Only 7 points for Travis Grayson, but he did have 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 block, though. 13 points for Shane Reisky off 3 of 6 shooting from downtown, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. And 10 points for Aiden Zank off 5 of 7 shooting with 3 rebounds. Off the bench, David Cundiff with 4 points with a rebound and a steal. 3 points for Warwick Elder with a rebound. 2 points for Eli White, which was all at the free throw line, though, with a rebound. And you also had 4 points for Ty Reisky with a rebound and a steal. And then Brandon King with a rebound. And the Cougars shot 47 from the field, so not too terribly bad. 33 from 3, 64 at the line, converting 9 out of 14. 11 turnovers for Spring Arbor, 12 for Huntington. It's pretty even there. Huntington, though, did shoot way better from the field at 56, worse from 3, albeit by not a lot at 36, and they were way better at the free throw line, converting 10 out of 12 for 83%. And looking at stats for the home team, they were led by 2 players. One was Caden Johnson, 20 points, 10 of 11 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. Only 4 points for Keelan Lassisi, but he did have 4 rebounds and an assist and a steal, though. 17 points for Miles Good, 6 of 6 of the charity stripes. Really, really good numbers there. He also had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. 13 points for Cade Brenner, 5 of 11 shooting, 3 of 9 from downtown with 2 rebounds. And also 20 points from Jackson Paul, 7 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. 4 of 6 of the line, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And then off the bench, you had Max McCollum in 5 minutes of action with an assist and a steal. Jackson Jones in 3 minutes of action with a rebound. Landon Beagle, 9 points in 21 minutes of action. 3 of 3 shooting, which was all from beyond the arc. 1 rebound for him and 2 points for Matthew Spears with 3 rebounds and a block. And then I alluded to the shooting numbers a minute ago, and that was your matchup there. The next matchup takes us to Indianapolis, Indiana, where number 3 Bethel faced off against the Knights of Marion. And the first time these two teams met up in Mishawaka, the Pilots were winners there by 15. Yesterday, it was a reverse flip of the script as it came down to the final possession. Bethel prevailing here, 81-80 after Bethel hit the go-ahead layup with 20 seconds left, and then for Marion, they had a chance to win at the buzzer from Dylan Moles, but his jumper fell just short. Bethel rebounded it and was able to seal the game after that. So Bethel narrowly avoids a humongous upset yesterday and quite a barn burner. And for the Pilots, they were led by Austin Cripe, 22 points, 3 of 5 from downtown, 9 of 13 from the floor, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. You had 13 points for Luke McBride, 5 of 10 shooting with 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal, though. 14 points for Colin Komarov, 5 of 7 shooting, 4 of 4. That was from beyond the arc. He also had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. 8 points for Bo Jacques with 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 5 points for Alonis Basilius with 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. And then off the bench, Jameer Jefferson with 8 points. 4 of those 8 were at the free throw line, though. 4 rebounds, 1 assist for him. 7 points for Carter Kent with 2 rebounds and an assist. And you had Andrew Hedrick with a rebound in 7 minutes of action, 2 points for him, and also 2 points for Alex Ellenson with 3 rebounds and an assist. And the Pilots shot really good from the field at 50, decent from 3 at 43, and they did struggle at the free throw line, converting 7 out of 11 for 63. Meanwhile, for the home team of the Knights, they shot really identical from the field at 49. They were worse from 3 at 31. They were better at the free throw line, converting 8 out of 10 for obviously 80%. And looking up stats for Marion, boy, they had some really, really good balanced scoring. That is for sure. Led by Aaron Humphrey Jr., 18 points, 11 rebounds, so a double-double for him. 7 of 13 shooting, 4 of 5 at the line, 1 rebound, 1 steal, though. And you also had 17 points for Dylan Moles, 8 of 14 shooting with 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Only 5 points for Ron Rutland III, but he had 4 rebounds plus 2 assists, though. 11 points for Aiden Franks, 5 of 13 shooting with 3 steals, 1 rebound. And the other big one was Josiah Gustin, 14 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 13 rebounds, so a double-double for him as well. With a steal and 2 blocks. And off the bench, Joshua Renfro, 8 points, 2 of 4 shooting, which was all from beyond the arc, I might add. 2 of 2 at the line with 2 rebounds and an assist. 5 points for Elhaje Diallo, 2 of 3 shooting, 1 of 1 from downtown at 6 minutes of action. He had 1 steal, 1 assist, 1 rebound. 2 points for Luke Carroll, which was all at the charity stripe in 7 minutes of action, 1 rebound and an assist plus a block. And then Luke Lindemann in 5 minutes of action did not score, but he had a rebound and an assist. And that was your matchup there. The final matchup takes us to Goshen, Indiana, where number 11 Indiana Wesleyan faced off against the Maple Leafs of Goshen. And this game was quite a shock, I think, to a lot of people. The Wildcats prevailing here in an overtime thriller, 82-73, avoiding a monumental upset by the Maple Leafs, what would have been a monumental upset by the Maple Leafs. So the Wildcats prevailing here, 82-73, outscoring the Maple Leafs by 9 in overtime, and that made all the difference there. And then looking at stats for the Wildcats, and now before we do that, this was the closest game in Goshen since 2019, when the Maple Leafs at that time beat the Wildcats by 1 point, and now this was the closest win by the Wildcats in Goshen since November of 2009, when it was only a 3-point win by the Wildcats at that time. So obviously, this was quite a shock, considering that the Wildcats won at home against the Maple Leafs 106-61 back in November. So obviously, boy, the tides definitely turned yesterday. But I've been up at Goshen before. The only time I've been up there was back in early 2020, in January of that year, and it's a very, very tough place to play in. So again, I'm not totally surprised by this result, especially how close it was, considering Goshen's a very tough place to play in. But looking at the stats for the Wildcats, 23 points for Julius Gizzi, 8 of 17 shooting, 6-7 at the line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. And you also had 11 points for DJ Moore. Now, 6 of the 11 were at the free throw line, though. 8 assists, 4 steals, and 2 rebounds. So really, really good to see that. Cademan Bontrager, 14 points, 5 of 10 shooting. He had 7 rebounds plus an assist, a steal, and a block, though. And then Millen McCartney did not score, but he did have 2 rebounds and 2 assists, though. And then Crew Gibson, 8 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. And then off the bench, you had Rocco Moratori, did not score, but he did have a block and a rebound, though. And the big one off the bench was Isaac Andrews, 15 points, 5 of 15 shooting, 3 of 10 from downtown, 5 rebounds plus 2 steals. Marcus Antony did not score, but he did have 3 rebounds. Now he's coming back from injury, so obviously he's going to be on limited minutes. 9 points off the bench for Jake Smith and 9 rebounds, so almost a double-double for him, plus 1 assist. And then Kevin Sakis in 4 minutes of action only had 2 points plus a rebound. And the Wildcats really struggled shooting at 39. They really struggled from 3 at 27. Decent at the free throw line, converting 18 out of 25 for 72%. The Maple Leafs, though, were better from the field at 41, better from 3 at 37, and identical at the free throw line, converting 14 out of 19 for 73%. And looking at the stats for the Maple Leafs, they had some really good scoring from Cameron Williams, 16 points, 6 of 6 at the line, 2 of 4 from downtown, 4 of 6 shooting, with 3 rebounds plus an assist. And you also had 11 points for Juraj Minorovec, 4 of 6 shooting, 3 of 5 of that was from beyond the arc. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, one assist, 1 block for him. And you also had Kevin Coda with 14 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 2 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6 of the line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 1 block. So really, really good numbers there. And Braden Allen did not score, but he did have 4 rebounds and 3 assists, though. And then you also had Marcus Northern with 15 points, 6 of 18 shooting, 2 of 2 at the line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, though. And off the bench, you had 8 points from Kenny May, 3 of 6 shooting with 2 rebounds plus 2 assists, 3 points for Savion Williams with 5 rebounds plus a steal, 6 points for Jacob Carlson with a rebound plus a steal, and then Joshua Gentry with a rebound and an assist. And that was your match up there. And that concludes recapping the games from yesterday. So previewing the upcoming games for Wednesday with 8 conference games remaining. You have the Battle of the U.S. Highway 20 Cup on Wednesday. Goshen will be at number 3 Bethel. Receiving votes Huntington will be at Mount Vernon Nazarene. You'll have Marion up at Spring Arbor, and you'll have St. Francis at number 1 Grace, and America's Game of the Week by far, number 23 Taylor at number 11 Indiana Wesleyan. Boy, that's going to be a barn burner of a game on Wednesday night, I can tell you that. The Wildcats will hope to avenge a 3-point loss at Taylor the first go-around. So obviously that should be really interesting to see how that one plays out. And then looking at the updated standings as we end this recap video on the men's side, Grace, the 1 seed at 10-0 in the conference, 20-0 overall. And you have Taylor, the 2 seed at 8-2, 16-4 overall. And then you have Indiana Wesleyan, the 3 seed at 7-3, 17-3 overall. Bethel, the 4 seed at 17-3 overall, also 7-3 in the conference. However, the Wildcats, though, currently holding that head-to-head tiebreaker over the Pilots. So that's why the Wildcats would be that number 3 seed as of now. Huntington right behind these 2 teams, the 5 seed solely by 2 games at 6-4 in the conference, 15-5 overall. Mount Vernon Nazarene solely the 6 seed at 4-6 in the conference, 12-8 overall. And then you have Spring Arbor and St. Francis tied for the 7 and the 8 seed at 3-7 respectively in the conference, 10-10 and 8-11 overall respectively. Marion 1 game out of the playoff spot at 5-15 overall, 2-8 in the conference, and then of course Goshen 0-10 in the conference, 7-13 overall. So that is an updated view of that. And looking at in terms of what the playoff race would look like right now, you would have St. Francis going to Grace, you would have Spring Arbor going to number 23 Taylor, Mount Vernon Nazarene would go to Indiana Wesleyan, and Huntington would go back to Mishawaka and play Bethel. So that is an updated view of the standings with 8 games to go. And obviously for the Wildcats, they do hold that head-to-head tiebreaker. They do hold that head-to-head tiebreaker over the Maple Leafs, and they also hold that is the only team they played in the second half of conference. And then meanwhile for Grace, they hold the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Trojans because they have beaten them twice. So, and obviously everybody else has to play each other twice. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. If you did enjoy this video, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any of those options also out greatly. Thanks so much for tuning into this video, and I will see you in the next video recapping all the women's games. God bless.